Free plus a profit business coaching. Really? Well, hang out with us today. Dave and I will be talking about that a little later on. But before we do that, let's watch this clip. Hello and welcome to another session of the Business Renovator. I'm Coach Phil, and this is Dave Watkins, or David Watkins, or Mr. Watkins, or Coach Watkins. He goes by all the same, right? Good morning and welcome. So just tell everybody where you're at geographically.
I'm 27.5 miles north of Houston, Texas, in the beautiful Woodlands, Texas.
And I'm a plane ride, long one, to get to there. And I'm about an hour's drive to the Rocky Mountains in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So the topic for today's discussion is business coaching, free plus a profit. That's crazy, right?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I know. That's what a lot of people think. And I'd like to say I was the genius that came up with that phrase, but I wasn't. There's a fellow by the name of Brian Tracy who often uses that. And it's not only relevant to business coaching, it could be relevant to other industries and services. What we're talking about, though, today is business coaching and how you could invest in business coaching and actually have it be free plus a profit. How has that shown up for you with your clients?
Oh, Phil, there have been many clients that I can point to. My first client actually was the one that was the biggest shock to me, in that I took him on as a client very early on after I started, and he was actually sleeping in his car at the time, and he's an attorney, and he moved from a firm to private practice, and he had gotten to the point where he didn't know what he was going to do. And so we started a relationship, a coaching relationship, and went through various principles of clarity, purpose, and strategic thinking that enabled him to quickly bootstrap himself into a profitable business. And now he's up to about $500,000 a year. And that's after 2.5 years. And I thought, how cool is it for me to be able to participate in a story like that? I felt very lucky and happy about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to get back into the room. Here we are. Push the right buttons and things will work out. That's kind of what happens with business coaching. We don't even have to be in your market segment as an expert. Like for example, do you have a law degree?
I do not.
Have you ever studied law?
No.
No. But you have an understanding what law is.
Yeah, I've run into a number of lawyers in my life.
But you don't have to be a practicing lawyer to help people in that field do better.
He had everything related to the law part buttoned down. He knew exactly what he could do to help people, and he wanted to do it, but everything just sort of fell apart on him. Life happened for him.
And also, I understand it, like in many professions and vocations, is that they teach you the technical side of the profession or the trade, very little on the business acumen. Like
that's
sales,
true.
Marketing, marketing calendars, marketing strategies, organizing and planning. Right? It's like, well, there's a really interesting book. Have you read it? The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a brilliant book on
the
roadmap.
Yeah. Well, I've created a marketing monster now.
You with the lawyer?
Yeah.
Tell
he
us more
is,
about that.
he is, it's very cool. Is once we got the hang of the calendar and his overall purpose, and once we got all that buttoned down, we started talking about marketing, and he got the idea of a marketing calendar. And before you know it, he was coming up with more marketing ideas than you could imagine, and he had it all calendared in. And my job at that point became helping him with expense management, because he could see the future as marketing, and boy, he went after it. But now he knows, he's discovered what works, what doesn't. Everything is balanced, and he's ready to roll.
So with the marketing calendar, that's something that um, is that something that he could use like next year and the year next?
Yeah, in fact, he's got it out, plotted out till next year, and he has it tied to key events. So of course, the holidays, but then also key community events. So every year in our community, we have a chamber event that's very important, and we have other events in our community that he can tie his marketing to.
Right. And then with having a marketing calendar, is he like the Costco's in the world? Like you go into a Costco anywhere in North America, and in I don't know, July, school supplies and almost Christmas supplies are already there. Maybe Christmas is a little early, but they do seem to show up quickly.
Mhm.
Is he thinking with that same kind of forethought and foresight with his marketing calendar to know what the lead time is for an event so that he gets his marketing collateral put together,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. And he gets his collateral. He gets his collateral set well in advance. One of his events is helping clients at various tax filing
Right.
dates, and so he's got it set up. He's got his reminders all set up in advance, and he's got a little bit. He's got some online presence where he talks about that.
I'm going to share a tip that I learned from one of my clients, a chiropractor, and they created their marketing calendar was tied to community events, and what they would do is for each one of the events that they wanted to be involved with, whether it was a run and they supplied water, or if it was the annual community exhibition and trade show, they did that. But they had as each event had its own set of boxes with the material and pieces, and they had in their marketing calendar, they in advance they knew they needed 4 or 5 weeks to get replenished
Mhm.
with printed product or whatever they're going to do, and then they'd be all set. They grabbed the box because everything would go into this box. They'd go to the event and everything was there from the and also what they needed to help pre-promote the event for themselves. And then if there was a call to action, they had those coupons or invites to do something. They were all there for them. And what they found
Mhm.
was it reduced a lot of stress, so they could practice what they really are passionate about. And it's not marketing; it's putting their hands on bodies and straightening necks, backs, and
Mhm.
etc. That's where their passion is. So by having a marketing calendar, it alleviated stress, created energy, and helped them be more profitable. So that's
Right.
one of the tips and tricks too. What a coach can help you do if you haven't got one of these, a coach could help you um, have a conversation around that and other things in regards to helping you generate profit. What's another thing or strategy that you've utilized in your practice?
It, one I don't know if it's a strategy or a technique, but one of the big ones is helping people think beyond their uh, current viewpoint. So, for example, I had a client that was starting a training business, and she was struggling to get clients, and she had to get the clients. She was doing this as part of a larger company, and she had to get a certain number of clients in order to keep her job.
Mm,
and she was up to it, but it was really her own business. It was kind of a funny situation. But so she had 90 days to get 30 clients. She had 3, and she had 3 weeks left. So how do you do that? And we talked about, okay, what'd you do so far? What worked? What didn't work? All the typical questions. And she did a pretty good job. But she wasn't at her, I mean, she was thinking she was going to lose her business. And so we started to think outside the box, tried to help her with creativity and being crazy, thinking of crazy ideas, and thinking more in a more focused way about her ultimate goal, which was not to get 27 more clients. It was to be a successful trainer and to help people with their health. And as she did that, and we talked about things like the role of the reticular activating system, which you have mentioned here, which is you're training your brain to spot possible solutions that you wouldn't necessarily know were there. And she did that. And in that 3 weeks, she got 90 new clients. And I didn't do it for her. I didn't sign them up. It was helping her look beyond her current horizon.
So, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say that was, it actually taught me the power of doing that. To see someone else, even though I was helping them, but to see it actually happen in such a grand way taught me a good lesson that I probably underestimated that in my own life.
Yeah, you're not alone there. I think a lot of people think it's woo-woo, and that's actually how we're wired, and we're just not leveraging our assets properly. And that's another thing. Any business coach that's worth their salt can help you understand. Whether they know about the reticular activating system or not doesn't really matter. But if they can help you identify what your current reality is, what your situation is, and then get you to have as clear as possible a view of the end result that you'd like to move towards. And it's helping them manage that gap and creating the clarity as to what the ideal end result would be like. And just because we help them get clear on that doesn't mean that they're going to get it exactly as they dreamed it or thought of it, but they move towards it much more easily, and it really becomes more tangible. One of the things that I've got actually it's in my bathroom on a Murinus, is coaching doubles your effectiveness and reduces the amount of time to get there. So if you could hire somebody that could help you do that, wouldn't that show up as additional profit for the end user, the client, the business owner, entrepreneur, corporate leader? Well, yeah, that's kind of a rhetorical question, but you're right. It is. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Mm-hmm. Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Phil.
My experience would indicate that. It's not that I make this stuff up. It's proof in the pudding. And I know when I got involved with business coaching officially 14 years ago, for every dollar invested by a client, they can get $5 to $7 at least. In some cases, much more than that. I've had situations where it's 75x more in less than 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But some people, they just don't. I'm not sure if they don't believe it or.
Well, it is hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually. I mean, they're really good technicians in whatever they do. I have a friend, I didn't coach him, somebody else coached him, but we played hockey together a bunch of years ago. We were actually in Oklahoma when we played hockey down there as young guys at 18. And he grew up in a family where they had a sporting goods store, and they were part of not a franchise, but a buying group. And they all branded themselves with the same kind of name. And the reason they got a business coach in was because him and his brother were looking at some kind of exiting of the business. The two brothers didn't love each other as much as anymore. The business has kind of turned them sour towards each other. and they just wanted a nice, easy way out. One had children, one didn't. So the one that had children, one of his children, his daughter, wanted to stay in the business and run the business, and the other children didn't want to be that involved. So they run a successful store, selling hockey gear and baseball gear and bicycles and all sorts of stuff over the years in relationships to sports. And I remember him telling me, he says, what do I need a coach for? We've been in business for about 30 plus years. We've been fairly successful. I own some real estate. Kids are good. My house is paid for. I've had some great trips. What do I need a coach for? Well, because we weren't sure how to do the transition, we hired one for 12 months. He was amazed. And he said, I'm amazed at what I didn't know about running my business. I probably should have had a coach sooner. Right. I think it's, what's the word? Apathy. Because a lot of people that are in business for themselves are not employable. That's why they're in business for themselves.
Oh, I see.
Right. They're more of a leader than a follower, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have any stories, Phil, that apply to yourself?
How do you mean?
Where you did something that surprised you?
Well, this is going to
in
sound...
terms of unexpected gain.
Well, when I started before I got into business coaching officially, I started a business because I'd worked for corporate North America, a large company, and I wasn't happy anymore with what was going on. So I left and went to another one, and I jumped from the frying pan into the fire, and it was worse than where I was before. And so if I was to say, be a victor and take responsibility, I guess it was kind of my attitude that probably put me in those situations, which led me to where I ended up. And so I started a business from a place where most people should have got a job, because that's normal, rational thinking, but that's not like me. I didn't want another job. I was tired of working for organizations where they had this CYA mindset. Do you know what it stands for? It's
Yes.
not see ya. It could be, but it's not. Cover your ass. So people were afraid to do things in the couple of corporations I was working in. And I learned some really valuable leadership and management tools and getting shit done from my mentor in one of the companies there. And he suggested writing things down in a spiral book, much the same as this one, and timestamp it and date it, and then put in your calendar the things that you're going to do and follow up. And if you're reaching out to somebody that's going to do some activity for you, and they said they could get it done, get their agreement when they could get it done by, mark that in the spiral book and in the calendar for a follow-up. And the follow-up would be, I don't know, a week or so before the timeline, because often at the early stages, people wouldn't think I was serious. So I would reach back to them within a week of the deadline. So yeah, just following up, see if there's anything I can do to help you reach our target objective of having something completed on or before this date. And they go, oh, you were serious about that? Oh, yeah. You're still going to be able to make it? Well, we could tell they were backpedaling. When you started building that kind of persona, not that you were a jackass, but you were holding people to accountability. If they said they were going to do something, then you expected them to do it, because I was then telling my customers, clients, and prospects that we would get something done by a certain date. So I didn't want to have egg on my face. So once I started doing that and getting people in the habit, which I learned from this mentor of mine, I got more shit done. But I was getting tired of that cover your ass, CYA mindset. So when I left the corporate world, I wanted to start my own business. So I did. But I started from a point with not typical capital, didn't really have a place to live for a whole bunch of different reasons. I was kind of in debt and no cash flow. So I started a business. And one of the things I did is I followed the doctrine is, if you know what you want and why you want it and stifle the how, you can create almost anything. So that's what I did. And I proved to myself that I could do that. And I started a business. And my marketing strategy at the time was to put together a networking group, a hub of people. And by the spreading of the words and building the relationships, I built my business, which then, 15 years later got me into the coaching space. And yeah, that's kind of a major one, with having clarity as to what it is you want. And if you know what you want and go after what you really want, you're more likely to do it. If you kind of sort of want to do it, you're not likely to do it, because what I found to be true, and Jim Rohn, who was a great philosopher of success when he was alive, and his legacy still lives on, he said, is if you go after what you really want, you'll find a way. And if you go after what you sort of kind of want, you'll find excuses. So if you're finding yourself coming up short of what it is you're trying to do to get to, or losing your energy to get there, it means maybe what you're going after isn't something you really want. It's kind of a have to. And if it's a have to, we won't tend to get shit done. Actually, and a friend of mine, Jeffrey Gittimer, has a book. It's called that, Get Shit Done. I have it in my app. I have on my iPad here. I subscribe to a membership thing app, and it's called Scribed. And in there is this book called Getting Shit Done. And there's an exercise early on in the chapters, and it says the key to getting shit done revolves around 3.5 prime principles. And there's a set of questions to ask and ponder. So the questions to ask and ponder, just a few of them are: why did you start? Why did you procrastinate? Why did you get it done? Why didn't you get it done? And if you look at those questions and really do a deep dive with the help of a business coach, more stuff gets done. And that alone, those kind of strategies and support mechanisms presented to clients by a business coach really is where the doubling your effectiveness and increasing your profitability in a fraction of the time. That's kind of how it works.
Well, in your experience, Phil, if people don't get a business coach, what's their alternative?
Oh, well, they can do it on their own, read a book, take a course. I mean, business coaching isn't the only way. It's just one hell of a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It seems to me that the clients that I've had enjoy the structure they get from coaching, and that in a sense that helps them convert what they're trying to do into action. And so as a coach, I tend to focus on first the why, and then the actions. And I'm not saying that I'm a great coach. I'm not, but I've seen that help my clients very much.
I think you underestimate yourself. I think you are a great coach with your life experiences in the different industries that you've been in, and then it's transferable to your clients. Also, your questions that you ask, and the resources you have available to support your clients. So don't underestimate yourself. Maybe you're not a super fantastic coach. I don't know that, but you're certainly great.
I'm certainly not super fantastic.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway. My brain just went blank for a minute. Isn't that amazing?
Well, let me ask you another question, if I may.
Oh, please do.
How do you? One of the biggest issues that people have is really grasping and developing their why. Why do they do what they do? What is it they want? Helping my lawyer friend that I mentioned earlier, my lawyer client, part of that was helping him discover what he wanted out of his business. With the personal training person I mentioned, or the training person I mentioned, it was helping her identify not that she needed so many clients to stay in her business, but what did she want to become? What did she want to contribute to the world and to her own life? How do you help people get there and understand that?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good question. I think by asking them questions as to actually one of the exercises I get people to do, and it's easy to do and it's easy not to do, and that is to write your ideal life chapter and give yourself permission to believe. Like the way I describe it is imagine you're next best thing to Stephen King, the author who's written a number of great novels, and many of them have been turned into a movie. So the intent is letting yourself free flow and write your ideal life. Just write a fantasy, because absolutely it is a fantasy, because you haven't lived it yet on the physical plane. So it's absolutely a fantasy. So go ahead and write it. You've got all the money, you got all the resources, you got all the ideas. There's no reason why you can't do it. So write that chapter. You don't have to write the whole damn novel. That would take too long. We want you to do some stuff. But writing that ideal life chapter is one of the things that I found that helps people identify why they want to do what they want to do and what is it they want to do. And in my friend Jeffrey Gitomer's book about getting shit done, he says many people struggle with that as well. So it's a really good thing for you to bring up. In Jeffrey's writings, he says defining what you intend to do is really important, because if you don't know that, goals don't matter. Because you could write goals, but if you don't have that driving major definite purpose that Napoleon Hill speaks about in his great writings like Think and Grow Rich and a few other books, then there's no reason for getting out of bed in the morning when it's 50 below or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, or there's a hurricane coming, or I mean, whatever obstacle, or you just don't feel like it. You won't get out of bed. You'll hunker down and just stay covered up. So having a reason why is a really important piece of the puzzle as to helping clients come up with their determination what that is. I know in the Perform at Your Best program, I facilitate one of the exercises that we go through is something similar to what you were just asking. Is if you don't know what your major definite purpose is, or if you don't know what your what is and your why is, then your major definite purpose or your objective is to focus on what your major definite purpose is. And it doesn't have to be such a big thing where you're changing the world dramatically. It could just be making sure your family never has to be concerned about anything in terms of their safety and their well-being. That might be it. Or it could be to free the world of plastic floating in the ocean. It could be that monumental. Doesn't matter to us, but it damn well better matter to our clients, because it's their dream, it's their world, it's their life. So I hope that answers your question.
It does.
Here's a quote from out of that same book by Orison Swett Marden, who, by the way, was the originator of the magazine Success way back when, in the, I don't know, that early 1900s. He says, people do not realize the immense value of utilizing spare minutes. So working with a coach could help you get into the mindset of utilizing spare minutes. And what if you were to have strategies, ways, and ideas on leveraging the spare minutes that you might have? What would that impact have to you as a business owner? Something to ponder, I would say. We're winding down to the bottom of the hour, and I promise to keep these reasonably close to 30 minutes. Do you have anything else that you want to add to the theme today, free plus a profit of business coaching and how that is?
I guess I would like to say that as a coach, one of my jobs is to help move people to where they can do this almost without me. They would still, of course, they need follow-up and they need to read books and they need to continue personal development. But if I'm successful as a coach, I'm working myself out of a job.
Yeah. That is one of the things that could happen out of it. So for all of you who are listening to this, if you could share this out with people, let them know this is going on. Or if you're watching this on the replay, go hashtag replay so that we know you are watching it. Also, let us know where you are watching from. And I have a call to action. Anybody who would like to find $100,000 hidden potential within their business in 45 minutes or less, my information is right up here, coachphil.ca, or my email is phil@coachphil.ca. Send me a message, put PAS in the subject matter, and I will get back to you, and we can set up a time to walk you through a 45-minute session and help you tap into your business and find hidden potential of 100K or more.
That's a great offer.
Dave, you're a scholar and a gentleman, and it's a great pleasure to be sharing the airways with you today.
Thank you, Phil. It's always fun.
I look forward to being with you when we meet in a couple of weeks again on a Wednesday morning
Okay.
with a different topic.
All right. Good.
That's a wrap for us today.